Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Spann, and here on YouTube I love talking all about knitting and what I'm making, what I'm dreaming about making, and lots of fun other yarn and knitting related content. So if that's something that interests you, then keep on watching. Alrighty, today we're back for another regular style podcast episode where I'm going to be sharing some finished objects, some whips that I have yet to share here on my channel. Not shocking if you have been watching my channel for a while, but pretty much all of the whips that I've been showing you over the last couple episodes have all been frogged, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I'll show you some of my new whips that are promising, to say the least, and just one acquisition, but I thought it would also be really fun to just share some of the other knitting podcasts that I've been watching or listening to recently and been inspired by. So yeah, before we get started, I just wanted to say a very special thank you to the sponsor of this episode. So Luisa is a company I've partnered with before. They are a jewelry company that specializes in simple, minimalistic, very high quality, tarnish-free jewelry. And personally, I'm not a big jewelry person. I don't wear a lot of like big statement pieces, and I have pretty significant sensitivities to a lot of jewelry materials. However, Ana Luisa seems to make the perfect jewelry for me. I love their pieces for, exactly those reasons. They're simple, they are perfect for everyday wear, and I've had zero issues with sensitivity, especially the earrings that I can like sleep, shower in. Yeah, I'm just really impressed by their quality, and that's why I keep on ordering from them. So I'm going to overlay some of the recent pieces that I got. I'm actually going to be putting these away to gift for the holidays. I picked some very simple statement, or rather, understated pieces that I think my friends and family would really love. Ana Luisa is a really great company. They have a 2-year warranty for all of their pieces. They do really fast shipping, and the customer service has been excellent as well. So if you are interested in checking them out as well, I'll leave some links to the pieces that I have shown today and a little coupon code as well. So again, thank you so much to Ana Luisa. I'm super excited about these earrings that I got, and I'm actually wearing a pair today, these little half moons. So again, thank you. I think I should also mention that I have some mixed feelings about recording today. I definitely want to keep the mood happy and positive, but I think it would be, a little insensitive if I didn't acknowledge some of the horrific events going on and around, here in Maine specifically. Alrighty, so it is November 2nd, and it's finally cooler out, hence why I'm wearing a big bulky sweater here. And yeah, I'm all cozied up in my little knitting corner. Obviously back here is kind of where I store some of my yarn, and there's like a little Swift over here. This is kind of my little nook where I come to knit. And yeah, I've got some tea, and I'm definitely feeling all the cozy vibes here. I can't believe it's already November. I feel like I'm always saying the same thing in every single podcast, but it is, yeah, it's really crazy how fast time flies by. So I hope you're all doing well. I should mention that I have some mixed feelings recording this. I wanted to record this over the weekend, but in light of some of the more recent events, specifically the tragedy here in Maine, yeah, I had some mixed feelings coming on here and, talking about, a very joyful, happy topic that is knitting. So, yeah, I think it's important to recognize how horrible the world can be, and make sure that we recognize and think of all the people that are affected by the recent events. This is a very small community where I live. The shooting was, maybe like a half hour, 40 minutes from here. I have lots of friends that work in that area, specifically in healthcare. And so, yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who, is affected, and it's definitely going to take a lot of time to heal. So, yeah, after talking with some friends and family about recording, I think it's still important to find ways to bring joy and spread happiness. So I hope that is, what you get out of watching my episodes here, whether that's, a little bit of happiness or maybe just some company while you craft or, do what you do. Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm spreading some joy there, and we'll keep things as positive as possible, but obviously keeping those in mind who are really hurting at this time. So So it's not a finished object necessarily that is new, but I am wearing my cabled cardigan by Irene Lynn. I finished this in the springtime. I'm going to show off some of the beautiful cables here. I did a full episode about this knit, actually, where I talked through some of the details about the yarn and that sort of thing, but I did add some of these buttons. So I finally actually finished it. So technically, I guess it does count as a finished object, but sort of old news. And I'm just wearing like a long sleeve t-shirt under this. I just took Winnie for a walk and it was very cold, so I felt very warm in this and figured I'd just wear it for the podcast as well. So that is, I guess, finished object number 1. The second one here, and I've talked about this as well, but wanted to really dive into the details today because I've yet to do that here. So this is my Marse sweater. I wear it in the yarn shopping in Denmark and Sweden video that I did. And I have some finished object pictures as well taken by a friend of mine a few weeks ago. So yeah, so this is it here. I love this sweater. I don't know how else to say it, but I think it's probably my favorite. And that's for a few reasons. So it's a petite knit pattern, which I've knit a lot of petite knit patterns, but I think something about the yarn combination and the overall just design and fit really makes for just a really versatile basic sweater. So this is knit in a DK weight yarn. You start at the back and then kind of create these shoulders, which I'm not exactly sure what to call them, but you kind of pick them up and start knitting the front, and then you join in the round and kind of knit the body and then pick up the sleeves. And so it's a drop shoulder, which is a flattering style in a lot of different body types, and I really love the stripe placement as well. It kind of hits right at the chest, and I just love the amount of stripes. I think it's busy enough, but also still very simple. So yeah, I used Double Sundae by Sadness Garn, and the color is Whipped Cream, is this cream color, and then the little stripe here is called Cardamom, I think. Yeah, Cardamom. It's like a taupey beige. And I had the beige, I had 3 skeins of the beige color, and then when we went on our recent trip, or not so recent, back in August over to Denmark, I bought the whipped cream color. And so I actually like started this project while we were on vacation and then finished it when we got home. So for me, it's kind of like a souvenir sweater, so it has a lot of special kind of meaning. So yes, I knit the second size from the smallest size, and for reference, my bust size is about like, you know, I wear like a 34B bra and a typical like size small for a t-shirt, and I think I probably could have gotten away with knitting a size smaller, or even a size bigger if I wanted a little bit more oversized. So I think it's a really like customizable sweater, and you know, having it be either a little bit more fitted or a little bit oversized is still like very stylish. It's got this fantastic double knit or like folded over button band. I don't know if you can see that well. And the instructions in the pattern are really easy to follow. I made the mistake, and this is the first time I've done this, is when you kind of fold it over and knit it together, kind of along here, I knit those stitches a little bit too tight. So when I put this on, kind of the base of the neckband is a little bit tighter than I would like it to. If I were to knit this again, I would make sure I was using like a needle size bigger, so I would avoid that from happening. But all in all, you know, it's a nice fitting neckband. It doesn't droop. There's a really nice row of purl stitches, which helps it kind of fold over on itself. And the sweater is also finished with a tubular bind off, which makes for like just a really nice finished look. So it takes a while to do, but it's definitely my favorite bind off. And yeah, I also sewed in a petite knit label. I machine sewed this in. I don't know if you can see the details, but it's a little like crisscross stitch around the sides, which was really easy to do, surprisingly. And I'll show you the back of it too, because I was a little concerned with how it would look on the back, but here it is. So you can see like a little bit of an imprint, but for the most, it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not bad. It doesn't bother me necessarily, and I think it looks just super professional. So yeah. The one thing that's becoming apparent is that this yarn really pills. I'm even like looking at it here as I'm showing it to you. I've worn it a handful of times, and I think I'm already gonna have to depill it, which is fine because the quality of this yarn is so nice. It was dreamy to work with. It's like just a luxurious merino plush yarn. It's very round. The stitch definition is beautiful, and it really blocked nicely. It didn't stretch too much. It is a non-superwash yarn, so I think it's going to hold up really nicely. I think it's just going to need a little bit more maintenance than some of my other sweaters. So yeah, all in all, I would knit this again. I actually have plans to make this again. I think it would be really fun to kind of alternate some stripe like colors, or maybe even like do bigger stripes. Yeah, I think it's just a great sweater. You could also knit this in a solid colored yarn. It would make for just a nice simple sweater. I don't think I really have much else to say on that. I knit it on the recommended needle sizes. I think it was US size 6. And in terms of yarn, I think I bought 10 balls of the whipped cream. Nope. I bought 11 or 12. I think I went back for another 2. So I think I bought a total of 12, used 10 for the cream, and then like ball and a half for the accent stripe. So yeah, that's my Marse sweater. I'm glad I finally got to share some of the details on that because it's been done for like a month or over a month, 2 months now. Alrighty, the next finished object, and I shared about this in my last episode, but this was my weekender V-neck slip over that I wore in my last episode where I talked all about my like fall and winter knitting plans. This is again another petite knit pattern. It did talk about these details in my last episode, but I knit a whole nother one and we'll share about that. So I really enjoyed knitting that gray one. I've already worn it a lot, and if you've been watching my episodes at all, you will know that I am really trying to work from stash yarn and kind of picking projects based on the yarn that I have to be able to kind of work through the stash. And I've had this Simply Wool Worsted by Knit Picks for a long time, and lots of kind of mohair in different quantities. So I figured that this pattern was the perfect project to use some of that yarn. So yeah, I made another one. So this is it here. This is I believe size small, which is, it might be the smallest size. You'll have to check my Ravelry. I'll put my link in for like my Ravelry page, although I don't know if I made a project for this one yet, but I will. And you can always find the details to my projects on Ravelry. I'm trying to do a better job of like actually documenting the process, like, plugging in dates and kind of just little tidbits of information, mainly for myself if I choose to reknit these projects, but also for all of you to go and reference, because I think it's important to know how much yarn other people were using for this, whatever project you're knitting, or needle size. It just really helps to provide a lot of information to others. So I'm trying to do that. So if you haven't seen this posted, then hold me to it, send me a message, urge me to list it or upload it or whatever. So yeah, so here it is. It's in this like white cream color. It's got this fabulous V-neck here in the front, tubular bind off on the neck and the sides here. The gray one, I did not do the decreases on the underarm, but for this one I did here, so you can see kind of the V-neck decrease happens in the armpit as well. And this is a little bit more cropped than the gray one. I sort of wanted it that way because I have some colored like pants or khakis that go up a little bit. They're a little bit more high-waisted, so I thought this was kind of a good option to throw over, like long sleeve or something with those pants. Very, very happy with it. You start in the back here and kind of knit down the sides, and then top down connect in the body and keep on going. So it's a really, really quick knit. It calls for like an Aran weight yarn, so bigger gauge. With the issue with this sweater, and I probably won't do this again, but like I said, I was trying to use up a lot of yarn, and what happened is when I was actually looking at the worsted weight yarn that I had in stash, turns out I had 2 skeins each of almost the same color, but actually technically 2 different colors. So if you know anything about Knit Picks Simply Wool Worsted, there's 2, it's like a grayish beige and like a more yellowish beige. Well, I had 2 skeins of each of that, and I thought it was just the same yarn at first until I like really looked at it in the light. And so what I did to try to use up this yarn was I alternated skeins, and I held it together with a strand of mohair, hoping that that mohair would kind of like blend the differences. So I carried that yarn kind of up and down the side, somewhere around here. I think it was under this armpit here. And it's technically, I think it's called helical knitting, but I just kind of like alternated each row or two. I got a little lazy at the end. Each row or two I would use the different yarn, and that way, you know, the yarn gets rotated and looks less different if I were to have just knit like half of it with one color away and half of with the other. I thought about that. I thought about maybe doing like the front and the back different, but then again, you're knitting this in the round, so that wouldn't have worked out. But anyways, it turned out okay. You definitely can't tell any difference in the color, even like up close or in really good lighting. So it definitely blended really nicely. But the issue is that wherever oh, it's over here, it's on this side. Wherever I carried the yarn, so it's down here, and I'm going to try to really show it to you. So it's right here where my hand is, but I don't know if you can see kind of the bumpy-ish parts. That's where the yarn is getting kind of rotated through. So it definitely left some texture and some like unevenness in the knitting because the yarn was being you know, swapped out every couple of rows. Does it bother me? It does. Can you really tell from afar? Absolutely not. And it's underneath the arm, so like if my arm is down, I'm covering it anyways. The perfectionist in me though is definitely like, I'm not going to be doing this again. Or I will, you know, properly do this type of technique. I'll like go and look up how to do this effectively without causing this like just bumpiness. But it doesn't matter. It's all done. It used up the yarn that I wanted it to use up. So I'm really happy with it. And yeah, that's that. Okay, so that is it for finished objects. Moving on to whips. Like I said, I have frogged, I think, everything that I showed you in the past. So last episode, my Lakes Pullover by Ozetta, frogged that. My, what's it called? Field Pullover, Field Cardigan by Ozetta in my La Bien Amie Corey, like the multicolored yarn, frogged that. I had started another champagne cardigan in like a rusty brown color, frogged that. I made a whole list of like projects that I've frogged. Let's see, what else did I say? My poppy tee, frogged that. My storm sweater in Pure Gint in that white color, frogged that. So I don't really know what to make of this. I think I'm just really learning what I love. You know, the more experience that I have and more years that go on that I'm knitting, I'm being a lot more picky in terms of like what projects I'm actually, you know, finishing. So for things to actually get to the finished part, I really, you know, had to like kind of love them all the way through. And that's just because I feel like I've knit a lot of things in yarns that I'm not crazy excited about, and then gotten to the end and realized that I'm not really getting any wear out of those items, or, you know, maybe it was just a like process knit, which is fine. I've learned a lot obviously from knitting lots of different patterns and working with different yarns. But I think now, you know, my time is pretty limited, and I really want to knit things that are going to get a lot of wear, and I really enjoy the process of making. So I think, you know, all these projects that I've frogged are more so representing, you know, creative cast down energy, just wanting to like jump into a project, which is fine. And I also, you know, learn how the yarn is working up and whether or not I think I'm gonna like the finished like fabric. I did kind of dive into my fall and winter knitting plans after I made the video, and kind of laid out like all the yarn that I talked about, and I do have some really solid plans to cast some of those projects on, which I would have hoped to have already started, but now that it's November, I'm trying to be really proactive this year about gift knitting because I have plans to make my husband a pullover. It's been something I've thought about for a long time. I made him a cardigan last year for his birthday and he loved it. He's gotten a lot of wear out of it. It was kind of a monster project because he's obviously bigger than me and it needed a lot more yarn, a lot more knitting. It was also a cardigan, so it was a ton of purling. And yeah, it's really nice knitting for others, especially my husband, because I get to see it a lot, whether he's wearing it or it's just kind of hanging in the closet. So I really wanted to make him a sweater this year. So he picked out some yarn and we also picked out a pattern together. So I don't think he's watching this. He hears me talk about knitting enough, not on YouTube. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my progress so far. So he wanted a cabled knit, and I had started a cardigan and got through a lot of the purling and said, no way, this is way too much purling. So I changed course a little bit and we did kind of a pattern search together on Ravelry and came up with the Spann Pullover by Jared Flood through the Brooklyn Tweed Company. And I think we both fell in love with the pattern itself. It's just a really simple cabled pullover. I think it's really it fits really well. It's not too oversized. I just really liked kind of how the model in the picture was wearing it. So that's kind of what drew me to this pattern, and my husband really liked it too. So that's what we decided on, and I think it's also really cute that it's called Spann, which obviously Spann is like the bulk of my name, or like the root of my name. Svenja is the feminine form of Sven. So I think that's really cute as well. So anyways, here's what I have so far. I'm just gonna go ahead and show it to you. So here is the back panel of the sweater so far. So as many Brooklyn Tweed patterns are, this is knitted in pieces and seamed, which I was quite hesitant on taking on a seamed project. I really wanted something top down, but the cabling and the overall design of this sweater, I couldn't really find anything that was like this. I also considered potentially rewriting it so I could knit it top down, but that started to get a little bit too intense for me. I am nowhere near any pattern designer, so I just kind of said I'm going to bite the bullet and just cast it on and kind of see where it takes me. So I actually casted this on maybe like a week or so ago and have been knitting on it almost exclusively. I started at the bottom here, you cast on at the bottom and then, knit it flat. And I'm now at the part where I'm kind of decreasing for what will be the armholes, which I think I have, a few more inches to go here before I will bind off, and then pretty much duplicate the same panel, knit the sleeves flat, and then seam everything together. So this will be my first sweater that is constructed like this, and I kind of laugh because I didn't love all the purling that comes with a cardigan, but turns out, you're purling every wrong side row of this anyway, so it's a lot of purling. But I made an effort to start it very early in the holiday season. Again, it's November 2nd today, so I feel like I have plenty of time to do this. I have plenty of time to, finish it and then not be like rushing, to meet the deadline before Christmas, which seems to be every year. I'm like knitting right up to Christmas Eve to finish a gift. So I'm really trying to avoid that this year. And again, I really wanted to knit him a sweater. So I just love this cabling here. It's got this great like honeycomb stitch and this nice little horseshoe cable on the side. And I am using Woolstock Worsted, which is a worsted weight yarn by Blue Sky Fibers. Here's the little label here. Can you see that? Here's the label. So wool stock worsted, and this is in the color Gravel Road, number 1302. It's this kind of like lighter taupey light brown color. It was surprisingly hard to find this type of shade in a worsted weight yarn. Technically the pattern calls for a DK weight yarn, and I did meet gauge with the recommended needle, so now after knitting with this, I do actually feel that this knits up more like a DK than it does a true worsted weight yarn. It's got a lot of drape. You know, in terms of a yarn for a structured cabled pullover, it's a little bit more drapey than I expected it to be, which is fine. I think it's going to hold up really nicely. It's very, very soft. And obviously all those cables are really popping. I believe this is a Peruvian wool. Let's see. 100% fine Highland wool. And I bought the 150 gram skeins, which have 370 yards. So it's like a big skein of yarn. And so you're knitting, obviously, without weaving in a bunch of ends. I've never worked with this yarn before, but I'm pretty pleased by it. And my swatch also didn't grow a lot with blocking, which is really nice because kind of as I'm knitting it, I'm like laying this against sweaters that he already has to try to like really get the fit right. And it seems, you know, it seems to be spot on. So I'm excited about this. I wonder when I'm gonna get frustrated or like sick of cabling. So far I have not. This has kind of flown by. I'm really liking working with it. The pattern is really easy to follow. It is charted, but these are very simple repeats, so it's very easy to kind of memorize. Not to say it's like a mindless knit, but you know, they're basic enough for you to, you know, I like watch TV and do it, and I'm not like terribly distracted and lose my spot. So yeah, so that's kind of my bigger project that I've been working on. I've been knitting it right in front of my husband, and he hasn't said anything yet. He has commented on me like moving my little sticky notes to keep my place because it looks like I'm like really into the pattern, which I am. Obviously you have to pay attention. It's a cabled pullover, but he hasn't really asked what I'm knitting yet. So I don't know. We're not apart enough for me to knit this all like when he's away, or like not in the house. So I just hope that he doesn't ask, and if he does, I'm just gonna have to put it away and come up with a little white lie or something. He'll probably know. I mean, this has been like a project we've discussed together. But I just don't want him to like necessarily see the cabling yet because I feel like that will kind of give away the surprise. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, my next whip here, and it's just something that I started this morning as sort of like a little mindless knit. I'm listening to a really great audiobook that's getting to like a very riveting point, so I didn't want to lose my place in my cabled sweater, so I was like, let me cast something on that's mindless. So here is the beginnings of a classic ribbed beanie, which is a pattern by Pearl Soho. And I've knit many of these hats before. I'm going to put up a little picture here on the screen and talk through the actual details. So yeah, this is a pattern by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern. It's one of my favorite hat patterns. Oh man, it's already getting dry. Okay, so again, pattern by Pearl Soho. It's called the Classic Ribbed Hat. It's a free pattern. You can find it on Ravelry, but it's also available on the Pearl Soho website. It calls for a DK weight yarn knit on a US size 3 or 3.25 millimeter circular needle. And there are 5 sizes: baby, kid, adult small, adult medium, adult large. There's a solid colored version, there's a stripe version, there's actually, many different combinations that you can make. And it is basically a 1x1 ribbed beanie with some really nice decreases at the rim. So I'm knitting this in a combination of these two yarns held together here. So this is Sanus Garn Baby Wool, which is a merino wool. It's a fingering weight yarn. And this is some mohair that I picked up at a store, at a knitting store. It was just like out in a bucket of free yarn without a label on it last year. So it's definitely a mohair. It's not very shiny, so I wonder kind of maybe it has another component in there other than mohair, or silk rather. Maybe not like a kid silk mohair. I don't know. It's a fluffy lace weight yarn that is pairing really nicely together with a fingering weight yarn, and this is kind of the texture so far. I'm knitting it on I think this is it's a 3.25 millimeter, so a little bit smaller, and I cast on the largest size. So this is the adult large. I think it's like 130 stitches or something like that. So yeah, I will basically just knit this until I feel like it's time to start decreasing, have a nice kind of wide brim, and hopefully I use all of this yarn here and I'm not hurting for any yarn. I think I'll be able to make it through. Maybe I have to shorten the brim a little bit. But these were just kind of single skeins in my stash. Really happy to, again, be using up yarn. I'm planning on knitting quite a bit of hats this year for gifts. I have a lot of kind of favorite hat patterns that I think will make really nice gifts for some coworkers that I'm hoping to knit for, as well as some family and friends. So that's kind of my only other whip. Yeah, again, I've frogged everything else. I've actually wound a lot of that yarn back into like nice cakes and been able to like kind of put it back in my stash. So hopefully at some point I come up with some plans for all the yarn that I've started to knit with, but hasn't really made for a promising project. So yeah, let me know if you do that as well, or if you just kind of finish projects because you've already started them. I'm curious to know what other people do. I just feel like I'm like a serial, like start a project then frog it like a few inches in. That's just me. I've always done that. Alrighty, so I have one acquisition that I thought would be fun to share today. And I'm going to show you the box first. So this is my one acquisition here. It is not yarn, but it's knitting related. So this is the Lumos in Lumos Knitting Light. This company kindly sent this to me as a gift. If you look really closely, there's some like little yarn skeins and yarn or like knitting tools. And inside, which I've already taken it out because I'm using, is this really cool flexible neck knitting light. And it kind of just goes around your neck here, and then there's different settings here, the little like buttons on the lights. It came fully charged, and it's got a really like flexible neck that you can kind of twist and turn, and obviously it's for knitting. So I've been using this every single night, especially like leading up to Halloween, we were watching spooky movies, and my husband loves to put the lights off, so I'm just sitting here like with my light trying to see everything, and it's amazing actually. It's super flexible, it holds position really well. There's 3 different settings. There's like a warm setting, a cool setting, and like a neutral setting, and I guess you can actually dim the light as well by holding the little button, which is really nice. So yeah, it's way more versatile than just a knitting light. I could see myself like bringing this camping, to not only like knit at the campsite, but also to kind of get around in the dark. It's been really comfortable kind of on my neck. It doesn't really bother me at all. And it comes with a little charging cord like this, and a little like startup guide. So yeah, highly recommend for any knitters. Also like a really great stocking stuffer or gift idea for the holidays if you have friends or family that are knitters. I think it'd be also really cool if you could like, you know, wrap it around something and like mount it as like a little light. It's just got a lot of different uses, and I thank Lumos for sending me this. There's also a really nice quote on the box here, because this is Harry Potter themed, obviously, because the Lumos is happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. So that's a Dumbledore quote for all you Harry Potter fans out there. Alrighty, moving on. I thought it'd be fun to share some of the knitting podcasts that I'm personally listening to. I've gotten some great recommendations from others that have done the same, just kind of like called out different podcasts. I think there's only so much that like your YouTube will recommend to you. So I'm going to go through the list of the ones that I'm personally watching. So the first is an Italian knitter. So Francesca, she is a engineer, and she is obviously from Italy. And I watch her channel all the time. I love when she posts new videos. I think she's got such a great personality, and also a really great eye for kind of color, and knits very similar patterns to myself. So I really enjoy her content, and she's just really just a happy person, and yeah, it just kind of radiates good energy. So that's her channel, and I'll make sure that I'll list kind of all these channels in the description of this episode as well. The next podcast is Young Folk Knits. So Casey, she's got a really great following. You probably have seen some of her episodes. She is a mom, and I believe lives on a farm, is like a beekeeper, so her life is dreamy to me. And she's just a really just friendly and just, you know, bubbly, and really just warms my heart watching her channel. She knits faster than anyone that I know. She just whips out projects left and right. And I really love her style of like photography, and really inspired by a lot of her sewing projects. And she's got some great like video editing skills as well. So highly recommend you check out her channel. Next is Smeeny in the Wild, formerly called Smeeny Beanie Knits. So Shireen, who is the maker behind this channel, it's a relatively new YouTube channel, but she's got a really big following over on Instagram, and she's a beautiful website as well. She is now a real world friend of mine. We actually met up in person a few weeks ago for the first time and spent a nice weekend together. So Shireen runs a maker business. She specializes in hand knit beanies, but has more recently kind of expanded her products into like bags and hats, and she's got a really great eye for kind of combining her like love of outdoors with her making business. And she makes some really great vlogs that show like behind the scenes of running a knitting business. And she's also a chef. That was kind of her former gig. So she kind of incorporates some of that as well into her content. So yeah, definitely give her channel a look and subscribe to her content because it's awesome. Next channel I watch religiously is Marlene from Marlene Nits. She is from Germany. She lives in Germany, but her podcast is in English. And I'm really just amazed by her, like her aesthetic is so calming. And I love her projects that she makes. And she's also a baker and makes these like beautiful, delicious looking loaves of bread. And so I really love her content. And I believe she's recently kind of shifted gears in her career and personal life and is now working at a yarn store. So I'm really excited to see kind of what content she comes up with now that she has like another foot in the fiber world. Next channel is Nord Nits. This is Fiona, who is also from Germany, and she podcasts in German. So for kind of English viewers, that might not be the best. However, you can turn captions on to all YouTube channels. So I would recommend if you ever want to do that for any channel that is in a not your native language, the captions are a great option. They actually work really well. I love her knitting. Fiona is so talented, and her most recent melange sweater by Petite Knit, it's like this pink and kind of a darker pink color, is like, it's just making me want to knit all the pink things. So I'm so inspired by her color choices and her overall aesthetic. It's really appealing. Next podcaster is Hannah G. Knits. Hannah is a mom and a knitwear designer who lives in North Carolina, I believe. I've been following her channel for a while. She is growing really quickly. I can see why her content is addicting. She's got the sweetest personality and always has like such great energy. I love her stories and kind of catching up with her personal life with her son. I believe he's like toddler age. And she recently also knit some like animals, which I love knitting like little stuffed toys as well. So that really inspired me. And yeah, I really like her personality. All of these podcasters I would love to meet in person one day. And Hannah is definitely one of those people. Next podcast is Knit and Grace. So Mia is a super talented knitter and sewist. I watched a lot of her content over the summer, and she had some really great summer knitting content, kind of like knitting tops and sewing, and I've found a lot of inspiration in her color choices as well. And she's got a really kind of calming presence. I really love kind of the extra like video footage she provides of like outdoor scenes and kind of nature. It's just super calming. And I've got two more for you. So last but not least is Arum from Arum Knits and Pearls. If you've been on YouTube for any, quantity of time, you will probably have seen Arum's videos. She is a maker who lives out in Utah, I believe, outside of Salt Lake City. I hope that's correct. But she's just got this like infectious personality. I don't know how she knits how much she does. She like whips sweaters out on a weekly basis. She's got a super impressive yarn stash that's like pinks and like neutrals, but like pops of like just fun like colors, and I don't know, she just has such a unique style. I'm really envious of like how much she is confident in her like yarn and knitting aesthetic. I just really love that. And again, she's got a great personality, so love her channel. And then last but not least is Knits by Mandy, who I believe she's down in DC. And she's also got a great personality. All these podcasters do. She is super fun. She makes some really fun content, most recently about like Nits and Gilmore Girls, which I never really watched Gilmore Girls, which is kind of shocking. I feel like I would really like that show. But I really kind of love her, like how she merges like pop culture and knitting. It's super inspiring. And I just really love her like style of vlogging and making episodes. It's just kind of feels like you're hanging out with her and knitting together. So yeah, that is my list of favorite podcasters. If you have any recommendations, to leave them below. I love to find new channels to watch. And yeah, I think that's about it for today. I will plan to kind of touch base again about my gift knitting. I have a list of projects that I'm hoping to get done. And yeah, go from there. So thanks for watching, sticking around. I hope you found some joy and happiness and maybe inspired by one or two things here. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Again, you can find all the links to the things that I mentioned in this video in the description, as well as in my different Ravelry bundles to projects that I've been mentioning. So yeah, hope you have a great day, and as always, happy knitting. I'll see you next time. Bye.